shall we? It's now 9:09 in the evening on the 29th of May 2025. You're looking at the moon at about 28% zoom. As far as I can tell, you can easily fit two of those 30 arc-minute size moons in the field of view. We are using, of course, F4L Quattro, Newtonian scope mounted on the EQ6R Pro Skywatcher equatorial mount. We're getting a little bit of earth glow on this far side. You can see the limb. The moon doesn't look too bright. The sky is quite clear. There are no high thin clouds easily visible in the sky, and I'm hoping we can get through the rounder series tonight. And the rounders we will cover will be NGC3206 to 3266, and if things turn out pretty well, maybe if the sky is clear, I'll get out tomorrow evening as well. Despite the advancing, it's not much of a view. What we have is Messier 13 lined up virtually in the very center of this low power screen at 28% e-zoom. And the reason I swung it around there is I want to make sure that as we go through the process of skewing to the various NGCs in the rounder series tonight, things will turn up pretty well towards the middle of the screen, and I think we just verified that. The time is now 9:56. What we're looking at, of course, is Messier 13. And I want to point something out. This is as good a view as I've ever gotten through a 6-inch scope, and our exposure time is 0.2 seconds, which kind of validates what the experiment I did the other night with galaxies. So, yeah, we are getting some serious views using the ZWO imager, even at short exposure times. Let's go on to the rounder series for the evening, however. And of course, before I do some, here is our 10-second exposure time on Messier 13, the Great Hercules Cluster. I'm trying to adjust up before we go on to the rounder series. I want to see what I can do. I have to be careful with this lamp. It's what's casting light on the images. I have to use the lamp in order to be able to read the data we have in the various rounder studies. Anyway, trying to figure out exactly what's casting that glow across the screen, but we need to move on. I'm trying to get down to about 1 minute per study as part of my own perfecting of skill in action, kung fu, if you will, when it comes to real-time imaging. Let's begin with a recap from our last Rounders series, which concluded with NGC 3198. Brightest galaxy in that entire series, magnitude 10.3, 8.5 by 3.3 arc minutes, surface brightness average of 13.8, and a position angle of 35 degrees. Quite an extensive discussion here on the part of Steve Gottlieb. He used a 48-inch scope at 375x, said it's a showpiece, large spiral extending 2 to 1 at a southwest to northeast. Orientation 8 by 2.5 arc minutes. I have pretty much concluded now that when we're operating at 10 seconds exposure time and we have a nice clear sky, we're getting pretty much close to his reportage on 48-inch views using a 6-inch telescope and the 80% quantum efficiency ZWO imager set to cooling temperature of 10 degrees and using the ASI live function. Moving on in order to abbreviate more of my sessions. This NGC 3206 along with NGC 3218 later in the evening will be the brightest galaxies of the evening. So not particular bright, but fairly large, and you're seeing some spiralicity. NGC 3206 is located at 10 hours, 21 minutes, 47.6 seconds with a declination of 56, 55, 50. I'm going to try to speak through these very quickly. Visual magnitude 11.9, 3 by 1.9 arc minutes, and an average surface brightness of 13.6 gives this an average brightness of 12.8. It should just be visible on eye movement through a 6-inch scope. A 9-inch scope should show it averted, and a 12-inch scope should be able to reveal it direct. Through a 17.5-inch scope done in 1994, Steve Gottlieb describes it as faint, fairly large, elongated 2 to 1 north-south, with broad concentration. A magnitude 13 star is just off the north-northeast end by 2.1 arc minutes. You can see that there. From the center, a pair of galaxies, NGC 3214 and 3220, are about 13 arc minutes away. Once again, this direction is west, this is east, this is north, and this is south. I want to be brief with this one because NGC 3210 is reported as a double star. 10 hours 27:58.9, 79 degrees 49:57 seconds in Draco, 24 arc seconds apart. Through 17.5 is a pair of magnitude 14.5 magnitude stars, 24 arc seconds separation, located just 1 degree west-northwest of NGC 3212. And you can see the galaxy there. Let's go on now to NGC 3212. It is very close, 10 hours 28 minutes 16.1 seconds, plus 79 degrees 49 minutes and 23 seconds. Of course, it'll also be in Draco. Data on that is visual magnitude 13.1, 1.5 by 1.1 arc minutes with an average surface brightness of 13.5. Position angle of 107 degrees. We're seeing some nice features in this 13.1 magnitude galaxy. Through a 17.5 in 1989, it was described as faint, very small, round, a pair of magnitude stars, of course, already described. It forms a pair with NGC 3215, 1.2 arc minutes to the south and the east. Once again, this is east, and this is south. Okay, this is north, this is south, this is east, and this is west. So I'm not sure what he's referring to there, but there is another galaxy. It looks more like it's northwest, so maybe 32, the other galaxy is the brighter of the pair, and we will go on to it at some point, I am sure, in the evening. Okay, this is clarifying itself. There are actually 3 galaxies visible here. There's the brighter galaxy at 13.1, which I've already mentioned. 32, I have to skip to another page, but I think it was 12. Yeah, 3212, that's the brighter galaxy. 13.1 mag. 3214 is a 14th magnitude galaxy. I'll move the cursor off here. It's probably this one here. Visual magnitude 14, 0.7 by 0.3 arc minutes, position angle 30 degrees. Through 17.5, first of 2 with NGC 3220, 5 arc minutes to the east. Faint, very small, round, very small, brighter core, bracketed by 2 stars. 13.5 magnitude, 0.8 minutes west, and 1 minute to the east. NGC 3206 lies some 13 arc minutes distant. Let's go on to our next study, because we know in this pair, we're also a triplet. We're also going to have NGC 3215 at 10 hours 28 minutes 44 seconds, plus 79 degrees 48 minutes 46, also in Draco. This is probably the brightest of the galaxies, magnitude 13, 1.1 by 1.0, so it's smaller than 3212, which was 1.5 by 1.1. This one has an average surface brightness of 13.5 magnitudes brighter and a position angle of 130 degrees. I'm going to have to puzzle through all of this later. Through 17.5 and 89, fairly faint, small, slightly elongated, forms a close pair with 3212, 1.2 minutes northwest. Here's our north, here's our west. This may very well be the pairing we're talking about. All right, so there are our views of 3 galaxies straight away, plus somewhere on there's that double star. All right, NGC 3218 is the other 11.9 magnitude galaxy, which was mentioned earlier with 3206. This one is edge on, mostly compared to more tilted, more egg-shaped. So 3218 is at 10 hours, 21 minutes, 49.4 seconds, plus 74, 1037, visual magnitude 11.9, 2.3 by 1.4 arc minutes. Surface brightness of 13 and the position angle of 170 degrees. And the observing notes are the same as 3183. So apparently it's a duplicate. I would have to go and look up 3183 to give you that data. Give me a moment to do that. As you see, 3183, same data, magnitude 11.9, through a 17.5 inch scope in 2002, moderately bright, fairly large, elongated 2 to 1, north-northwest to south-southeast. Apparently he measured it with a reticle. 2 by 0.8 arc minutes were visible, broad concentration, but no well-defined core. We are seeing a very nicely defined core in this, and once again, at minimum, we're getting the equivalent of a 24-inch scope view and possibly as great as 36 on this very fine evening using 10-second exposures. Well, we're supposed to be seeing NGC 3220 on the screen right now. 10 hours, 23 minutes, 45.2 seconds, plus 57 degrees, 1 minute 38 in Ursa Majoris. Its magnitude 13.0, 1.7 by 0.6. I am not seeing anything that looks like a fairly tilted galaxy on this screen. Surface brightness 12.9, which would be quite obvious. Position angle of 97 degrees. And through a 17.5 inch scope, I may play with the histogram a little bit. Brighter of a pair with NGC 3214-5 arc minutes to the west, fairly faint, fairly small, elongated 3 to 1 east-west, 1.5 by 0.5 with a weak concentration. So let's try changing the histogram and see if we can get this baby to reveal itself. There it is. Wow, why should I have to change the histogram setting completely to reveal this edgy on appearing galaxy? Once again, there's supposed to be another galaxy, 3220 again, 3214, 5 degrees, 5 arc minutes to the west, which is probably this little tilty here. There we go. Once again, pay attention to those histogram settings, especially when the background sky looks very bright and stars look very tight. Again, fudging around with histogram settings, we've revealed NGC 3225. It's at 10 hours, 2510, plus 58090 in Ursa Majoris. Visual magnitude is 12.6, size 2 by 1 arc minute, surface brightness 13.3 with a position angle of 155 degrees. Through a 17.5 in 1994, fairly faint, small, elongated 2 to 1, north-northwest, south-southeast, very weak concentration. It's looking a little pixelated to my eye, and typically that comes about as you adjust the histogram settings to get the best possible view of the galaxy. Well, I won't be zooming in on this one. It's an open cluster, fairly disparate in terms of distribution in space, but the stars in it are all roughly of the same magnitude, except for possibly this brightish one here, which may be the matriarch of the lineage. The size, this is NGC 3231, 10, 26, 58, plus 66, 48, 42 in Ursa Majoris. About 2.5 arc minutes in size through an 18-inch scope. In 2005, 16 stars are visible in an 8 arc minute size region. The stars are distributed into 2 groups oriented northwest to southeast. I think you might be able to see that there. We're now back to galaxies. NGC 3236. 10 hours 26, 48.5 plus 61, 1623 in Ursa Majoris. Visual magnitude 14.4. It'll be the faintest galaxy of the evening. 0.75 by 0.5 arc minutes with an average surface brightness of 13.1 and a position angle of 52 degrees through a 17.5 inch scope in 94. Faint, very small, round, weak concentration. And in fact, I did have to play with the histogram settings before I could determine that this is actually our galaxy, that NGC 3236. Here we have NGC 3238, visual magnitude 12.9, 1.4 by 1.3 arc minutes, surface brightness 13.4. Through a 17.5 inch scope in 1994, fairly faint, fairly small, slightly elongated north-south, with an even concentration with brighter core and faint stellar nucleus, forms a pair with MCG plus 1015.079, 5.4 arc minutes northwest, and NGC 3220 lies about a moon width, 27 arc minutes to the southwest. We'll have to look for that MCG galaxy, probably right here on the manana. Here we have NGC 3252. I'm going to step through the zooming on this because it's a nice edge-on galaxy, easy to detect from the beginning. We are now at 100% zoom, and not only that, we are starting to see a break in the edge-on presentation, somewhat similar Messier 82. I may play with the histogram settings a little bit just to improve the aesthetics. We lost it there. Of course, it has that very bright star nearby. It does take some articulation to be able to nail the histogram on the slide bar. It could be larger. Let's stay with that. NGC 3252 in Draco is 10 hours, 34 minutes, 22.6 seconds, plus 73, 45, 51. Visual magnitude 13.5. I'm impressed. 2 by 1.6 arc minutes with an average surface brightness of 13.6 and a position angle of 35. Through a 17.5 inch scope in 89. Fairly faint, fairly small, edge on 4 to 1, north-northwest, south-southeast, a double star, epsilon 1437 equals 7.6, 10.1 magnitude. At 32 arc seconds, separation lies 5 arc minutes to the north. Here's our double star right there. Well, our next study is NGC 3259, 10 hours 32, 34.8, plus 65 degrees, 2 minutes, 28 seconds, Ursa Majoris. Brightish galaxy, 12.1, 2.2 by 1.2 arc minutes, surface brightness of 13, and position angle of 20 degrees. That pretty much confirms it. 17.5 inch scope in 1991, fairly faint, oval, elongated, south-southwest, north-northeast, broad, moderate concentration, located 10 minutes west-northwest of magnitude 8.4, SAO 15220, and NGC 3266 lies 20 arc minutes to the south-southeast. Probably won't see it on this screen, which at best is about 30 arc minutes laterally. An ultimate study for the evening, NGC 3264. Did I hear somebody laugh out there? Is an Ursa Majoris, 10 hours, 32, 19.7, plus 56 degrees, 500. Its magnitude 12.0, 2.9 by 1.2 arc minutes with a surface brightness of 13.2 and position angle of 177 degrees. That's our baby. 17.5 inch scope in 94, faint, fairly small, elongated 3 to 2 north-south, 1.6 by 1 arc minute, appears as a diffuse glow with no concentration. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I did play with histogram a little bit, and that's the best I can do. And by pushing the histogram way off to the left. Let's move on to our final study of the NGC Rounder series of the early evening. I am almost motivated to try another round before the evening is out, especially with the advancing moon. Our final view in the 3206 to 3266 series is NGC 3266, of course. The galaxy in Ursa Majoris, 10 hours 3317.6 plus 64 degrees 44th 57. Visual magnitude 12.4 with a size of 1.5 by 1.3 arc minutes and a surface brightness of 13.1. Position angle of 105 degrees through a 17.5 in 1991. Steve Gottlieb tells us that it's fairly faint, very small, slightly elongated with a small bright core, stellar nucleus, and NGC 3259 lies 20 arc minutes to the northwest. Well, it actually does fit into the screen. There is NGC 3259 as well. And that's a wrap for this evening on the early rounder series. And with the advancing moon, I am going to push the envelope a little bit. It's now 10:34 in the evening. Carpe